I hesitate to believe all these pro-gun, I don't know what they are, lawyers, groups like GOA and all that. None of them have come up with any punishment for the infringement of the Second Amendment. Yet copyright infringement is what was I reading? $750 a day and 30,000 up to $30,000 a week or something like that. And or maybe it was a little, maybe 30,000 a month, 30,000 a week. Anyway, the there's nothing, I can't see anything for the infringement of the Second Amendment. And that they have never come up with this. We the people are in charge, are supposed to be in charge. That's what they say, we're in charge. Then why haven't they come up with anything that we can vote on for all these infringements writing up against, and make it so these big groups with these $1 million clubs, they can't, or another country or somebody like George Soros can't just throw a bunch of money at something and say, I'll take the fines. And but then you'd have to find everybody that has to do with it. Maybe take a percentage of their, if they're so big on it, because these groups are trying to get rid of our rights. I don't get it. They got the right to speak, and they're using that, and they're using that in protest. Maybe we should get rid of the right to protest. Of course, the government would love that. And you couldn't, but that goes along with freedom of speech, so you can't do that. I'm not saying I want to get rid of any freaking rights. I'm just saying, these people are sitting there trying to get rid of a right just because they don't use it. They don't care about the Second Amendment. To them, it's just, well, good, more oil. The government can do whatever they want to us. Of course, they're doing that anyway, and I don't see the Second Amendment stopping any tyranny. I mean, what was the percentage of? All you learned in school was they was taxing stuff when the coffee or the tea price got too high, and that was it. So they started drinking coffee. They threw a boatload of tea over the edge into the water. Okay, so I think that's part of the revolution anyway. Not a historian. But I mean, what were the tax percentage? What was they taxing compared to then? I'm not a historian, but somebody could figure that out, and the percentages of what we're dealing with nowadays compared to what they was dealing back then. How are we sitting compared to how they were sitting back then? I know it was a lot less people and a lot less money being made, and everybody drank tea because they were all English. But I mean, look at the prices of everything now. Homes, that's an essential. Vehicles are essential. And in fact, one of the things, wasn't it, or maybe that's just that those people that are sovereign citizens, that if whatever vehicle or whatever mode of transportation is the most popular, which are vehicles, that you don't need a license to drive them. It's just everybody knows how to drive. Basically, that's what they're doing anyway. I mean, do you think they're teaching? I mean, if we didn't have license to drive, do you think parents would teach their children better, or how to drive better than they do, than just sending them to a driving school and they go to get out and they trade going down the highway and doing this and that? If my kid was driving, I'd take him out in the field, make sure he could get out of every situation and know how to control the vehicle no matter what, and then say, you're not supposed to be out of control, but this is, in case you get there. But I'd take them out in all the conditions. I'd take them out in a freaking pasture or something. Show them how to drive. That way, show them all the crazy things that vehicles do. Because most of these people, they parked against the curb and backed out of the driveway, and that's about the experience they got. Then they get on the interstate. But what I mean is infringement. Where's the penalties for infringement of the Second Amendment? They got copyright infringement penalties up to $250,000. And I think there's another. I don't know what the numbers were, but there's nothing. I can't find anything for the Second Amendment infringement, and maybe that's the problem. Everybody's attacking because there's no penalties. So why are there all these insurance like GOA and all these places that claim to be pro Second Amendment? Ain't none of them writing anything so that we can vote on it. They're just going up there and they're working their way in. That's all they're doing. They're getting their foot in the door so they can get in there, and then they can get a government, and then we got to fight them, and then it's all because how many pro 2A people are there? There's some people they don't know much about. There might be some shooters. There might be some shooters in Congress or Senate or whatever, and they go out and shoot or whatever for sport or whatever, and or Second Amendment, but there has been no anything written, and that's why they keep writing against it, because there's no penalty. They ought to come up with some freaking penalties. That's what we need. That's what needs to happen, is come up with some freaking penalties.